I'm here to talk about your argument paper or essay that is due next Monday, to go over the requirements with you, and then to talk to you about what an argument is and how to structure it. So let's start with the requirements, and this is the page, week 3, creating an argument, and it talks a little bit about the importance of presenting an argument and the skills that you gain and the times that you may need to use this. And it says to take a look at some resources and then choose from one of these topics, which I'm sure that most of you have thought about the topic that you would like to pick. And it says that your audience is your peers, your classmates, and myself, and that you are writing a 425 to 550 word persuasive argument. Now, an argument is based solely on logic and evidence. A persuasive argument is one that adds pathos, which is also emotion. And then here it talks about this is going to be written in academic format. It's going to be the 5-paragraph essay structure, but you can add additional body paragraphs if you need to. And that you are going to start with your introduction, which is where you will present your argument, your thesis statement. Determine and present your position on this topic, right? That is the thesis statement here. And explain the reasons for your position in paragraph format using evidence from outside sources. And so what I would suggest is 1 or 2 sources, 3 at the most, because you usually use a certain amount of sources based on how long your essay is. So this is going to be 2 to 3 pages. And so 2 to 3 sources at the most, all right? And then, of course, you will need a clear introduction, your body paragraphs, which is the middle, which is where you develop and present your argument, and your conclusion. Using well-structured and organized paragraphs, presenting your position, your thesis statement at the end of your introduction, and of course, writing and editing, grammar checking, and then making sure that you're including your in-text citations and your reference correctly. And in addition, you're not going to use any first person, and you're always going to avoid using you in all of your academic papers. You don't want to speak directly to your audience. It's kind of jarring and strange. So only third person and avoiding contractions. Again, I've posted the template here as well as the sample, and I'm going to post some argument sample papers for you as well. There is some additional resources for you here, including the APA Style 7th edition and at the OWL and the Scribber citation generator. And I've already posted, like last week, more information on APA formatting and citation formatting. All right, so now I'm going to take you over to a PowerPoint and go over what argument is and how to organize your argument paper. So I have a PowerPoint that was created by the University of Purdue, which is the OWL, but I have added and modified some of this, but I just wanted to let you know that. So let's talk about arguments. I'm not going to go over everything in detail, but I will post this for you as well. I'm going to try to figure out where to put my face so that it doesn't cover up. There we go. Okay, so what's an argument? So the purpose of an argumentative essay is to organize and present your well-reasoned conclusion in order to persuade the audience to accept or at least seriously consider your point of view. An argument involves the process of establishing a claim and then proving it with the use of logical reasoning, examples, and research. Now, when I say, or when this says, to present your well-reasoned conclusion, and that is because argument is inquiry. So when you are really making or creating an argument, you don't start with what you already believe and try to find evidence to back up your belief. Real argument is about asking a question, looking for the answers, reading through all the information, and then drawing a conclusion based on what you believe is most logical and persuasive in all the information that you found, all right? So if you have a question, is learning online effective for college students? You then look up the information. You look up credible and reliable information that has been written about by experts, that is based on solid research, right? And those statistics and findings. And then you take that conclusion and you present it at the beginning as your thesis, as your position, or what we call your claim, which is the opinion you are taking on the argument, on that question, based on the information and evidence you have found that you believe shows a conclusion, which is your position, okay? So let's continue. So this is what I mean by starting at the end, because after you've done all the research and read all the information and then have drawn a conclusion, now you're going to go step by step through your paper and show them through logic, your illustrations, explanations, the conclusion that you came to. So you want to think before you write. You want to make sure that you have kind of organized your ideas, put them in a logical order, collected evidence that you're going to use to show, prove, so to speak, your conclusion, which is your position. But all of this depends on your audience. Now, we've talked about audience in the first week of this class, so I'm not going to go through this in detail. I'm going to post this PowerPoint for you as well in the announcements. You're not profiling your audience, but you are asking questions about them in order to determine how you're going to reach your audience depending on who they are and what they need. And so these are the 5 key questions. And again, we talked about this in week 1, and I'm going to let you go over this on your own. But you have to learn more about them, and you have to learn where they already stand. So what does your audience believe, or what are their assumptions that you're going to need to talk to them about? What are their values? And you're going to need to anticipate this as you present your argument. Okay, and again, I'm going to let you go through moving. Here we go. So let's talk about organization. Organization helps to guide your readers through your arguments in a logical progression. And it offers clear explanations for each of the points that you are presenting to develop your position. And it demonstrates the credibility of you as a writer. It gives you ethos so that your audience is more likely to not only believe what you say, but be willing to listen to what you say. So when you organize your argument, you start with the title, the introduction, which includes your thesis at the end, the body paragraphs, which develop each part of your argument, as well as the counter argument, and the conclusion. You start with a title. A title introduces the topic and also engages the reader and gets them interested and questioning why you make that claim. So you use active verbs in your titles, like, I'm going to move my face a little bit, cleaning up campus with recycling bins, or reducing rubbish, or recycling on campus. So starting with that idea of cleaning or reducing or recycling. So when you consider titles, you want to think about the way in which you are reflecting your topic, your opinion, and making it a little creative and engaging. So we have 3 here. Now, this one only tells you about an emotion and not maybe the direction of the article, of the argument. This one is also engaging, but it doesn't really have anything to do with the argument itself. This one is engaging and then tells you very specifically what the topic is and the direction of the paper. An introduction introduces you to the topic a little bit more in detail, gives some background, as well as the ongoing discussion that's been being talked about for decades. So it orientates the reader to this issue. And it usually starts with this kind of, here's what's been said about this topic, and here's what I'm going to say about this topic, and here's my position. You can use different styles of what we call hooks to engage your audience, to get them interested at the very beginning of your introduction, but also to introduce the topic. The thesis, which is the last statement, it is the most important sentence in your paper because it sets up that topic, the focus, the specific focus of your arguments, and you want to focus it. Someone asked a question today, and I focused my argument about is learning online effective by specifically focusing on college students and working adults going to school online, and if that is an effective way to learn. And that's awesome. That is a really great way to focus on a specific group of people in a certain environment or situation. In this case, the group is working adults and going to school online, and how effective that is. The thesis answers the question, what are you trying to prove? What are you trying to convince your audience of? What are you trying to argue? It's not fact. It's the topic, the position, and your reasoning. It guides your reader through your argument. So the way in which you organize your thesis statement, the order of it, is the way you present it in your paper. So here's another one. So which thesis do you think is the best? There are 3 possibilities here. Remember, you are arguing a position. This is not about informing your reader or presenting 2 sides. This is about taking a specific side on a position and then showing why that position is the right position. And so I'm going to tell you that this is not the correct thesis because this is, let me see. Move me a little bit, because this is about presenting information, the last one, not taking a position. This one, okay, let's look at this one. This one, parents often too busy to watch television shows with their families can monitor their children's viewing habits with the aid of the V-chip. This one is getting better, but when you say can monitor, it's not strong, it's not assertive. You want to take a position in an assertive way. You want to be very clear and concise about this is what someone should do. This is the best thing that they should do. Okay, to help parents monitor their children's viewing habits, the V-chip should be a required feature for television sets sold in the US. So this one takes a clear position. This is the one in the middle that is the best. There we go. Your body paragraphs are what develop and support your argument. They build your claims one by one by presenting your reasonings. I want to offer a brief explanation of the history or recent developments of the topic within the early body paragraphs, or if your paper is not long enough, in your introduction to help them become familiar with the topic you're presenting. You can choose a few different organizational patterns in presenting your evidence and in organizing your body paragraphs. So you can go from more general supporting reasons to more specific. You can start with your most important position or reason to your least important, or you can go from your weakest claim, supporting idea, to your strongest. But I think one of the best ways to organize is by presenting your second most important idea or claim, kind of hiding the weakest ones in the middle, and then ending with the strongest claim, because that is the last one that your reader is going to remember. So you really want to present them, I believe, with the strongest claim last, because it's what they'll remember the most. But you also want to offer a counter argument, and that is, what do other people say? What are other possible positions that people take on this issue, this question? Is online learning the best way to learn? And this demonstrates your credibility. It shows that you've looked at all the possible positions, but that you have still come to a conclusion, which is your position, based on what you've read and what you feel makes the most sense. It shows that you have looked at other points of view. It shows that you are not biased. It doesn't mean that you're going to include half of your paper on the counter argument. You want to offer the most common counter arguments, and those are usually one or two. So now you want to make sure you put your counter argument in the most logical place. And that is either at the very beginning of your argument, the first body paragraph, or I believe at the end, the last body paragraph. Some people do it when they get better at writing. They do counter argument and then refute that or rebut that, counter argument and rebut that. But that is much harder. It's easiest to start with the counter arguments, the most common counter arguments, and then go right into how your argument is stronger. Okay, or at the end, your last body paragraph, and then talk about that counter argument, and then again rebut that in the same paragraph and why your position is still stronger. So there's different ways to consider counter arguments, and that is to just right away go and show how they're wrong, or what is more sensitive and get your reader on your side is to concede to some of the opposition's concerns and demonstrate how there might be some parts of their counter argument that is logical and that we do have to consider. You do not want to be rude or deprecating. You want to be polite and respectful when you are acknowledging the other side of the argument, because this is the way you're going to win people over. Now, again, you are going to be using research sources that you find that are credible, that are well-known, reliable sources. The best sources come from the University of Phoenix Library and are scholarly. But if you are going to use the internet, make sure you are using sources that come from online magazines or news sources that everybody knows, that have been around a long time, that use expert opinions in order to support your position, all right? So you always want to make sure that you are first presenting the reader with your position, your claim, your supporting idea, and then using the evidence to support those ideas that you make first. And then finally, your conclusion, right? And this is where you are going to just wrap it up for your reader. You don't want to introduce anything new in your conclusion. You want to start with your thesis that you presented a different way than you did, and want to sum up the main points. And you want to end with the significance of this issue and how it's relevant to our society and to people in general. So that's it. This came again from the University of Purdue, their OWL, their online writing center, as well as ideas and slides that I've added. So if you have any questions about this, please reach out and I will get back to you. And as always, I hope that you are having a good day, have a good weekend, and let me know if you have questions. Thank you.